Hey, what's up everybody, How To Tech, and we are going to take a quick look at the LG G5. This video is going to be for removing some of the smaller parts out of the phone. To do this, we're going to use some guitar picks, a metal tool, possibly, we'll try to stay away from that as much as possible, a couple of plastic pry tools, a small Phillips screwdriver, and we're going to use our little SIM card slot to pop this thing open. We'll also be using a heat gun to remove the display so we can get at some of the volume controls on the phone as well. We're going to go ahead and pop out the bottom portion of the phone and remove the battery. You can see that it's a little bit different, that it does have a removable battery. Take out both Phillips screws out of the bottom of the phone also. So we're going to look at replacing the charge port, how the connector in the G5 seats, so if that ever gets damaged, you can take a look and possibly fix it on your phone. Based on how it works. We'll take the volume button out and look at that also, so if it gets sticky, residue, junk in there, I can remove it. We're just going to take our nylon pry tool and use a little tiny bit of pressure to help pull up the side of the phone here. We want to get just a little bit of space that we can put our guitar pick into and kind of get to work on removing the clips. Now this thing is really stuck on there. We're talking like HTC M7, M8 type stuff, so just be careful removing this. You don't want to damage your display. Now I'm going to try to stay away from a metal tool. We'll just try to use these guitar picks. These are the thinnest guitar picks that you can get. So they're not always the strongest little piece of plastic, but they definitely do the job for us. So we're just going to create a little bit more pressure and get a little bit further in there. The clips for this are at the very, very bottom of the display where it meets the housing. So you have to really get your pick in there to get at it. If not, you're just kind of running yourself up and down the slide of the phone. We're going to go ahead and once you get it kind of far in there and you get a little bit of positive pressure on it, it's a little bit easier to get a secondary tool in there and work it back up and forth and get it to start to unclip. Try to pull up on just a little bit more. You can see there's a little bit of a space now between the display and the side of the phone. Use our red pick here. You can see that it's starting to unclip there. We got a good separation going on. And you'll feel it almost make a snap sound when it pops off. It's a pretty audible click. Now once you get the one side removed, you can go ahead and work on the opposite side just using the same method. The second side will be much easier. If you get a pretty good removal on the one side, once you get the pick in, since it already has a little bit of positive pressure, it'll go ahead and just work its way up and snap off pretty easily. So you can see right there we've already worked our way all the way to the top. We just pull the display up and out. So now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the smaller parts of the phone here. So we got a couple of things. We have our 3.5mm headphone jack. If you want to remove that, just pull the ribbon cable up and then pull the headphone jack out. We have our volume button. So it's basically just stuck onto a bracket with the ribbon cable and its connectors adhered down with a little bit of adhesive. So don't just yank it out. You'll have to pry it up nice and gently to get this to pull off. So we're just working our way down the side here. See if we can't get these little bits off. There we go. So if you need to replace that, hopefully you can buy it with the bracket. If not, just use a little bit of glue or a little double-sided adhesive and just reattach your new cable to the back here. We've got our volume button itself, which actually is metal, all metal by the way, minus a plastic, so it doesn't have a primer coat on it. So here we have our button. Now, the thing that I was most interested in is this mechanism. You can see the way that it works is the battery portion has a piece that slides in and attaches. This portion right here, it's kind of got a little edge on it. This slides in and catches on the metal of the phone. Then the button, all that does is basically push on that piece outwards off of the aluminum of the phone. So I'm a little concerned over time how snug this is going to fit, but possibly fixable if you do damage it just by adding some more material to it so it'll snap back in place. And we can also remove out our flash sensor out of here also. And it actually looks like there's an antenna behind the lens here. And I don't really see any antennas embedded into the phone, like LG is saying with their half primer, half metal phone here. You can see we have this portion that's got little grooves in it, and then behind that is an antenna. I'm not really sure what that antenna goes to, but you can see that it wraps around. And then I tried to think, maybe there's going to be more antennas, so let's take a look at the power button down here. And this thing was a bugger to take out. I actually, unfortunately, didn't do it on camera. You can see how bent it is, so make sure you flatten it back out before you get it back on. There's just some adhesive. Some heat might make it easier, but if you need to replace your power button, you can do the same thing. Just pull it up on the ribbon cable. But there are no antennas under here either. So let's see if we can figure out where these connection points are at on the back of the board here. So looking at the board itself, these little connections, these standoffs, are what make contact with the back of the housing of the phone. So these must go into the actual antenna ribbon cables. So this little 3 set here is the volume button. The larger set above and to the right, those go to the headphone jack and the camera assembly. But there's these random ones. They must make contact with these flat surfaces that have been grained in the back of the phone. So that must be where the antenna connections are at. Let's talk about the battery. Let's go ahead and pop the battery off. So it just snaps out by pulling it in one direction. And it has just a little connector down here that's spring-loaded as well that kind of holds it in place. So if you need to put a battery back in, this is what kind of holds it in there. So don't be afraid about breaking it when you remove it. These kind of pull back and forth when you're removing the battery. Let's go ahead and remove both the 2 screws out, one on either side of the charge port assembly down here. So now this portion down here, this houses your loudspeaker. Your charge port itself will be in here. Now you can see there's metal in this for sure. You can see the aluminum. Now to get this off, we need to get it started so we can get a pick in between it. And to do that, just kind of pull against the metal and plastic. That'll kind of create a little gap for you. That way you can stick a guitar pick or something in there and kind of work it back and forth. You need something a little bit stronger. The adhesive is pretty strong on this portion. You don't really want to pull it upwards. You want it to go straight forward and out because there's some wings that go underneath the metal portion of the charge port. You don't want to break those or damage those, so it fits back together nice and snug when you're done. So you can see right there on the front where that's at. Once you get far enough forward, then you can kind of pull it out and away and then pull it away from the adhesive. There's one more screw on the back side of here that we'll go ahead and remove. There's the adhesive on there. Pop this screw out. If it wants to come out. Come on, little buddy. And then pulling away this black plastic surface, just like you would on other phones. And it looks like it's got a antenna in here of some sort. And then you can just go ahead and pull your charge port out. And then your loudspeaker's off to the right as well. So replacing the loudspeaker charge port actually be pretty easy on this phone. You can probably just buy the new module. So that'll make it kind of nice. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, throw them down below. I'll do my best to get to them. As always, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.